Now, add nuance, because not every delay is simply a dramatic story of destiny. Sometimes the test is more ordinary, and that's what makes it harder. You might be healing from old patterns you didn't even know were controlling you. You might be learning how to speak boundaries without guilt. You might be unlearning the habit of chasing people who only respond when you shrink. Allah doesn't only prepare blessings, He prepares the person who can carry them without losing themselves. If you were given the right companionship too early, you might have turned it into dependency. If you were given recognition too early, you might have mistaken admiration for worth. The unseen mercy is that you're being trained to stand firm even when you don't feel chosen, so that when ease comes, it doesn't own you. Picture a normal day that still feels heavy. You wake up, your phone is quiet, and the silence stings before you even get out of bed. You move through work or school with a calm face, but inside, you're carrying thoughts you don't want to explain. Why you feel different, why you can't join certain conversations, why you can't laugh at what feels empty. Later, you sit alone with your meal, and the world looks like it's moving faster than your life. You make wudu, you pray, and you feel that mix of closeness and confusion. Close enough to speak to Allah, confused enough to ask why the heart still aches. This is where spiritual discipline becomes real, not in a perfect routine, but in the choice to return again, even with a tired soul. When you keep returning, you're not just asking for a soulmate or a sign. You're becoming someone whose love will be mercy, not chaos. Here's the counterexample that people rarely talk about. Sometimes what looks like a perfect match appears early, and it still isn't written to last. Two people can share interests, humor, even spiritual habits, and still be wrong for each other because timing and maturity are part of the decree too. One person might be sincere but emotionally unstable. Another might be kind but not ready to lead a home with responsibility. You can't force barakah by forcing closeness. That's why some relationships begin like fire and end like ash. They were built on intensity, not on steadiness. And that's why your slow path, even when it hurts, might be saving you from a bond that would have fractured your peace. Allah does not only test you with what you lose, He tests you with what you almost gain. There is also the matter of hidden enemies. And it doesn't always mean someone is plotting against you in a dramatic way. Sometimes it is subtle. A friend who keeps you close only when you're struggling, but becomes cold when you improve. A relative who praises you in public but plants doubt in private. A coworker who repeats your words with a slightly different tone so others misunderstand you. These things drain the heart. The protection is that Allah exposes people over time, not always through confrontation, but through patterns. You notice who celebrates your progress without turning it into competition. You notice who respects your boundaries instead of punishing you for having them. You learn to stop explaining yourself to those who have already decided to misread you. This is part of becoming stronger through hardship. Your circle becomes smaller, but it becomes cleaner. At some point in the waiting, a question rises that can change everything. Am I asking Allah only to remove loneliness, or am I asking Him to shape my love into something worthy of His pleasure? That shift is the line between desperation and readiness. You begin to guard your gaze, not because you are afraid, but because you respect your own heart. You stop chasing conversations that lead nowhere. You become careful with what you share, because not everyone deserves access to your inner world. And you build quiet habits. A page of Quran when you don't feel like it. A private dua after everyone sleeps. A decision to forgive without reopening the door to harm. If you've ever felt Allah's help arrive in a way nobody else could see, leave a comment answering this one question. What was the moment you realized you were being protected, not punished? The idea of Allah publicly embracing you does not have to mean a stage, a crowd, or a dramatic reveal. Sometimes public is simply that the truth becomes undeniable. People who dismissed you begin to notice your stability. Those who spoke over you start listening. Your name comes up in rooms you never entered, not because you demanded it, but because Allah lifts whom He wills with a kind of honor that doesn't require you to beg. And as for a younger soulmate or a matching spirit, don't reduce it to age or aesthetics. Think of youth as freshness of heart, a person whose soul still knows how to hope, whose faith is alive, whose mercy is not exhausted. The right companion doesn't arrive as a trophy for being patient. They arrive as a trust. You will recognize. You can feel it in the way your heart goes quiet after being misunderstood for the 100th time, like something inside you is being asked to survive without applause. People look at your patience and call it weakness. They watch your restraint and assume you have nothing to offer, and yet your nights are crowded with prayers you never speak about. That kind of loneliness is not random. It is the kind that happens when Allah is pulling you away from noise, when your path is being cleaned of the wrong hands before the right one ever reaches you. The hardest part is that the test often looks like rejection, and rejection feels personal when you're already tired. Doors close without explanation. Messages go unanswered. Plans fall apart at the last minute. Even when you try to be gentle, someone still finds a way to twist your intention. You start wondering if you missed a sign, if you waited too long, if you trusted the wrong people, if you are somehow disqualified from ease. But there is a difference between being denied and being protected, and sometimes the protection is so silent that it feels like abandonment, until you look back and realize what you were spared. Most people interpret a delayed blessing as a punishment, and that is where the heart becomes impatient and starts bargaining. If I was truly cared for, why would it take this long? But Allah's care is not always quick. Sometimes it is precise. What you call delay might be a separation from what would have consumed you. What you call loneliness might be distance from hidden envy. There are people who smile at you and still don't want your healing, people who praise you and still resent the light they feel around you, not because you are better than them, but because your stability reminds them of what they avoid within themselves. If this is landing close to home, you can tap like on the video in a calm way, not for me, but as a small signal to yourself that you're taking your own experience seriously. In the same storm, two people can carry very different responses. One reacts by demanding proof from Allah, measuring every hardship as a sign of being forgotten, then chasing comfort wherever it appears, even if it costs dignity and faith. The other reacts by tightening their grip on what is steady: prayer, honesty, self-control, and the quiet decision to not become bitter. The first response is loud because it wants immediate relief. The second is quiet because it is building something deeper than relief. Sabr isn't passive. It is the discipline of refusing to let pain rewrite your character. It is choosing not to sell your principles for attention, not to lower your standards for companionship, not to accept a love that only exists when you are useful. There is a particular kind of trial that comes when you are meant to love in a clean way. It's the trial of watching other people get what you wanted faster, even when they didn't guard their hearts the way you did. You see couples form easily, friendships look effortless, careers jump forward, and you're still in the waiting room with Allah. That comparison is a trap because it ignores what you don't see. The arguments behind those smiles, the compromises they made, the blessings that came with a hidden price. Tawakkul is not pretending you don't feel it. It is feeling it and still refusing to despair. It is saying, Allah sees me, even when nobody else is speaking your name with tenderness.